Hello there. Right, as I'm a bit of a loose end today, I thought I would do a bit of a show and tell on a book I have about, well, some of you may be aware of this, but some of you may not be. It is something called Unbelievably Sadie from Ripley's Believe It or Not. Now, some of you may be aware of sort of like the Ripley's Believe It or Not museums, others may not be, but it's sort of like a quick sort of overhaul. Is that basically it was obviously started off by a chap called, there's like a chap called Robert Ripley, who basically started off doing like a series of cartoons about sort of weird and wonderful things, and that's how the phrase Believe It or Not came about pretty much. And eventually it sort of like turned into like a sort of like series of museums around the world, as it were. So it's just basically like a quick highlights of basically what that is about. So yeah, but this book I picked up in Weymouth in this past July. To be fair, it was only like I think £10, and I love this kind of stuff, so that's why I picked it up initially, just because I love nosing at this kind of stuff. So right, I'll give you a quick show on the inside, so you can get. So yeah, basically the inside cover is just a non-shiny version of the front cover. So basically, yes, it starts off with telling you a bit about Ripley's world, as they call it. And that's where it says in here, like, in December 1918, whilst working as a sports columnist for the New York Globe, Robert Ripley created his first collection of odd facts and feats. So that's basically how it all started. And it sort of like goes on to tell you about, yeah, sort of like about the cartoons were originally called Champs and Chumps, but his editor basically didn't like the title. So that's basically how Believe It or Not sort of came about. And eventually the phrase entered English language and we use it all today. And sort of like by 1940 he had visited no fewer than 201 countries, and basically Robert Ripley just obviously recorded, like sort of searched and recorded lots of sort of like weird and wonderful things, as it were, as he went around the world. And this is like the next part is like Ripley's legacy lives on, which obviously sort of goes a bit more about the sort of like cartoon sort of like is apparently still carrying on, and it's like the longest running syndicated cartoon ever. Apparently it's still going. Don't know how true that is, but apparently it's still going. And you can obviously see here in this picture, it's basically a giant, yeah, sort of like it was a giant crane lifting cars in and out of the London Ripley's Believe It or Not museum for one of the displays there. So yes, there's a museum in London, and I know for a fact there's also a Ripley's Believe It or Not in Blackpool, because I've been into it many times, and I never get bored of it. It's really cool. And there's a bit more about sort of Ripley's star attractions. So obviously I think that says a bit more about the like the museums and other such like. Yeah, I think the pictures on here are from the Hollywood and Baltimore museums. But yes, it's like Ripley's Hollywood Museum has been given a magnificent makeover after 20 years in business. So yes, that one's got, I'm guessing, got a makeover in, guessing round 2011, 2012, because it reopened in 2012. So, but yes, so that sort of mentions a bit more about at least two of the museums there over in the States. So. And then it obviously tells you about the app. So yes, might have to try that out and let you know what it's like. So yes, so it's quite interesting. So it tells you a bit of the history, and then if I can bring the book here, then it sort of goes into, I don't know how well this is going to work, but then it goes more into all the sort of wacky facts that are in here. So it tells you lots of stuff. So about different things. Some of you possibly might have heard about the Island of the Dolls via YouTube videos. If this is the one I think it is. Yeah, about the sort of little girl who drowned and then a homeless man who was living on the island basically started collecting up all the dolls and hanging around in tribute to her. So yes, for those of you who've ever watched those videos to do with this particular island, it's even appeared in Ripley's Believe It or Not in the book, so there you go. It's even in here. So yes, it even mentions that, and there's just like obviously lots more weird and wacky stuff, and there's even stuff about vampires as well, which I thought was quite an interesting bit. So I think it's an appropriate bit to show considering we're coming up to Halloween. Like obviously like a vampire hunter's kit there, and other such like, and it's just like there is so much stuff in here, there's lots. So that's all we've got, wacky stuff. Oh. And then we got, yeah, sort of goes wacky world, and then we obviously got like, it goes into animal stories. So there's like lots of wacky animal stuff in here. The big fat cat. So there's lots of random stuff. Now that's the one I wanted to show. This is like a two-headed beardy, which I thought was quite bad. But yeah, there's just lots of wacky stuff in here, as you can tell. I could be here all day probably flicking through this, but yeah, then we got like Beyond Belief, like obviously there. Like so. But yeah, there's lots and lots of stuff in here. It's just like, as I said, I could be here all day just sort of like showing it all to you, but I thought I'd just show you a few pages just so you can get a rough idea of what's in here. But yes, I would definitely, like, if you ever get a chance to go to one of the museums or look at any of the books, or I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably a website as well, especially if they've got like the apps and stuff. There probably is like sort of probably websites and such. So but yes, it's all sort of very interesting. There's a daft elephant here, just falling down a manhole. There you go. But you'll all be sort of pleased to know the elephant did survive and she was rescued okay. Well, I say she, I'm guessing it, because it doesn't specify the gender of the elephant. But yeah, silly thing fell down a manhole. So it's daft thing to do. But yes, lots of mad stuff. Mad one here for you, of a motorbike that looks like it's been made out of like big or like decaying bodies. I'll bring that up a bit closer to the camera. That's a bit random. So basically the story behind this is that a Californian hot rod artist, John Towers, created the Roadkill, a unique handcrafted custom motorbike seemingly made from a decaying corpse. The bike has incredibly detailed features, such as a heart protruding from an exposed rib cage that houses a fuel tank, and super realistic bones that flex at the elbow with the bike suspension. Look closer and you will see maggots crawling over the decaying flesh, blood-stained exhaust pipes, and headlight eyes in the skull. John wanted to graphically drive home how dangerous powerful motorbikes can be for the inexperienced riders. Well, I think it's quite an interesting way to get your point across, I think. It's like, yes, it looks a bit gross, but it looks really cool at the same time. But that's probably because I'm a sick puppy. But yes, that is, I think, quite an interesting way to go about that. There you go. Fair enough. So yes, it's like there are some really random things in here, and you just think, what in the actual bloody hell, you know? And then we got John Lynch of Hertfordshire, England, with all his piercings. There we go. And I thought I had a lot of piercings. See, that's the kind of thing I like to show to people who complain at me for having far too many piercings. I'm like, really? I have I think including my belly button piercing, like I have like 9 piercings, something like that, 9, 10 piercings. So, you know, it's a case of, yeah, it might seem a lot to some people, but when you compare it to people like that, it's like, I have bugger all piercings, you know, so what are you complaining about? So yes, there's lots. Then we get more into the, I'm guessing these are more the, well, it says Coney Island Tribute. I'm guessing it's more like the, I don't want to say like the freak shows, because you know, like in the old circuses they used to have like the, what I call like the freak show things. So I think this is what this section is. So with all this like weird stuff, like, so, you know, like they used to have all the things like the bearded lady and stuff like that. So I think that's what this part is kind of about. As I said, I don't really like to use the phrase bearded lady, because that's like sort of freak show or anything like that, because it's like, you know, I just don't like, it's not a very nice term, but I think that's what they used to sort of like call it at the time back then. So but yes, you got a lot of crazy stuff in here. So then we got unbelievable art. Let's see if we can find anything interesting here, shall we? Oh, now I've lost the page because I'm not paying attention. Oh, hang on. That's the bleeding page. Sorry about my phone going off there. There we go. Back we go. Found it. So yes, we got. Let's see if we can find anything interesting here. Someone who's made a sculpture out of toys there, because why not? And then we got people who've built things out of matchsticks. And you've got one chap there who's built Hogwarts, because reasons, why not? And then you've got a chap there who's built, what's he built? I think it's it's a sort of scale model of a North Sea oil rig, basically. That's what that is there. So that, yeah. So you do, I always find this kind of stuff interesting. We've got people who have done paintings on sort of like egg boxes. They're kind of funky. I like those. But yes, you get all sorts of craziness in here. But it's definitely worth a read if you like all your weird stuff. So yes, I would definitely recommend that. So yes, and I will quickly read you the introduction properly from the beginning. So yes, we're sort of like, as I said, in December 1918, whilst working as a sports columnist for the New York Globe, Robert Ripley created his first collection of odd facts and feats. The cartoons, based on unusual athletic achievements, were submitted under the heading Champs and Chumps, but his editor wanted a title that would describe the incredible nature of the content. So after much deliberation, the title was changed to Believe It or Not. The cartoon was an instant success, and the phrase Believe It or Not soon entered into everyday speech. Ripley's passion was travel, and by 1940 had visited no fewer than 201 countries. Wherever he went, he searched out the bizarre for inclusion in his syndicated newspaper cartoon, which had blossomed to reach worldwide distribution, being translated into 17 different languages, and boasted a readership of over 80 million people. During one trip, he crossed 2 continents and covered over 24,000 miles, or 39,000 kilometres, from New York to Cairo and back to satisfy his appetite for the weird. Because why not? So, although Ripley died in 1949 after collapsing on the set of his weekly television show, his Believe It or Not cartoons are still produced on a daily basis, just as they have been every day since 1918, making Ripley's the longest running syndicated cartoon in the world. think that's a bit of a feat in itself, actually. So yes. And I love the fact that, you know, basically with Ripley's Believe It or Not, you do have the option to basically contact them yourself. So if you obviously wanted to tell them anything weird, you can basically just contact them, I said, yeah, by email or write to them, or yes, they looks like they have got a website. We were talking about, I've mentioned that a bit earlier, didn't I? About whether they had a website or not, but apparently yes they do. And they've even gone very modern and gone on to Facebook and Twitter as well, so they're very modern, as well as having the app. If I bring that down here, you can perhaps have a little look at stuff to do with the app as well. So yeah. But yes, so basically I just love the fact that they're very inclusive, and if you want to tell them about anything weird, you can just contact them and say, come and have a look at this. And I think they do actually send people out to sort of like verify it and that. So that's pretty cool. And actually I might have a quick look on my phone now to see where it is that they... Actually I have my internet up. Let's have a little look. I will have a quick Google and see where they have museums. Let's have a look. Because I know they definitely have Blackpool, London, and obviously then Baltimore and Hollywood according to the book, so... But I'm sure when I looked before, I think they had a silly amount of museums. Here we go. We got a list. So there are museums in California, one of them being Hollywood, as I just mentioned. The other one is San Francisco. We also have Missouri, New Jersey, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Canada, Texas, New York, Oregon, Virginia, South Carolina and Maryland. That's obviously just for the states. And then we also have 3 in Mexico, 1 in Australia, 1 in Denmark, 1 in Korea. Actually, I didn't realise they had 1 in Korea. That's interesting, I didn't know that. Then we've got the 2 in England, which is Blackpool and London. Then Malaysia and Thailand also have a museum each. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't actually realise there was some in like Korea and that. So, so I've learned something today. So yes, oh, they've got a website for the London and Blackpool ones. I might have to look at that later then. But yes, so now you know where they have all their museums now. Obviously, if you want to go and look up exact locations and addresses and stuff like that, I'd say go onto the Ripley site, which is, hang on, quickly get that back up, is www.ripleys.com, and if you go and find the attractions part of the website, you'll be able to scroll down and then eventually find like the list of all the different places. So yeah, but if I remember, I will link the website down in the description, or I might annotate it somewhere on the screen. Depends where I remember to put it, but it'll at least be in the description. But yes, I thought I'd quickly share that with you. I said quickly, this video's now run into like 20 minutes, but just wanted to do a quick show and tell, talk about this, and just say, like, you know, if you are that type of person who likes really weird, zany things, definitely go check out the book, check out the website. If you can get to any of their museums, definitely go, because it's just like, I've been to the Blackpool one God knows how many times, you know, I've lost count, but it's just like, I think it was like with family holidays, it was like a bit of a tradition just to go in there and sort of like have a bit of fun, because it was just so wacky and random. So yeah, I'd say definitely give it a shot if you're into that kind of stuff. So yes, do it. Go on, you know you want to. Otherwise I will chase you with my book. But yes, I will sign off now, and I hope you enjoyed that. And I will see you later on.